Backpackers.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yay. How many of you guys have backpacked before? Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Who's done a trip longer than 3 nights? Okay, good. So good amount of you. So those of you who've done the longer trips may be familiar with what I'm going to share today, but I hope that everyone can learn something from my experience in planning and executing a long-distance backpacking trip. So on New Year's Eve of 2018, I declared that I would be doing a week-long solo trip sometime in 2019. My goal was to do a point-to-point trip where my husband would drop me off and pick me up. I would be doing 67 miles in 6 days. I'm not a stranger to spending time alone in the wilderness, so I wasn't going out completely unprepared or inexperienced. Although my very first solo trip is a story to tell another time. Wow. Okay, so preparing for this trip, I did a ton of research. I was looking up where to go, when to go, what the differences were between a long-distance trip and an overnight trip, all of those things. I interviewed some friends of mine who are experts in the field, who do these kinds of adventures all the time, and they helped kind of guide me in the direction to go. I read books on the Colorado Trail, I read articles from Backpacker Magazine, and I consumed every bit of information I could find on the trail that I chose to do. Overall, the trip went exceedingly well, but there are always a few lessons sprinkled in. So, without further ado, I'm going to tell you about things not to do when preparing for a long-distance backpacking trip. Number 1, do not bring all of the food. Yes, or if you pick up your pack and you can barely lift it, it's probably too heavy. If you weigh your pack and it weighs 50 pounds, you might want to reconsider your food options. Yes, you will be moving strenuously and working a lot on those days. Yes, you will be hungry, but 5 pounds of trail mix is a ton of weight. And honestly, a lot of trail mix. So, delayed response there. All that food equals weight, and when you're carrying everything that you need to survive on your back anyway, you want your pack to be as light as possible. Also, be smart about the food that you pack. Calorie-dense food goes a long way. According to Sally Sorrentino, who is the Outdoor Education Program Faculty Chair at Red Rocks Community College, each person should plan to bring 1.5 pounds of food per person per day. REI.com suggests bringing 1.5 to 2.5 pounds of food per person per day, so it really depends on what's going to work best for you and your caloric intake. Let's see. Now, if you're doing the math, my trip was 6 days long, and I brought 12 pounds of food. So that's 3 pounds too many. All that trail mix. So much trail mix. I found that I didn't actually need as much food as I brought. My appetite really didn't warrant it. So next time I'll be bringing less food with me. The second thing not to do when preparing for a long-distance backpacking trip is to bring unnecessary items, like a bag of batteries. It is important to have batteries for emergency items such as a spot tracker. It is not as important to have spare batteries for your headlamp and your lantern that you literally never use. I never use them. I thought I would get to camp at night and like do things in the dark and like read and stuff, and I was out by nightfall every night. Didn't even touch it. I also brought along a 4-person first aid kit. You know, because there's 4 of me, which had like everything in it, splints, all that stuff, which is probably great, but probably not for a solo person for a week. I do think a headlamp is important, and I do think a first aid kit is important, but probably not in the quantities that I brought them. Other things not to bring with you on a long-distance trip include, or according to Red Rocks Community College backpacking list, don't bring a large personal towel. You don't need jewelry or makeup, or illicit drugs was another option. So you may have noticed I'm talking an awful lot about pack weights. This is an obsessive topic for backpackers. How to make your pack lighter. And for good reason. Hauling around a backpack, like a heavy pack, will really slow you down throughout the day. It'll also cause more wear on your body, making it so that you're not able to travel as many miles as you'd like to go. It also causes a lot of wear and tear on your shoulders and your hips. Pack weight isn't the only important aspect, though. The other thing that you can work on to elevate your experience is your fitness. I made the mistake of assuming I could hike 12.5 miles per day with a 50-pound pack on using my on-again, off-again mountain bike fitness that I'd had all summer. That did not work. I did get 3 hikes in before my trip, totaling 10 miles, which I can assure you is not enough hiking. On my second day of my trip, I woke up sore from the day before where I hiked 10 miles. And I immediately had to climb 2,000 feet, 5 miles, and then back down the other side. All these other backpackers are passing me by with their 25-pound packs on, like wondering what the heck I had in my bag. What is she carrying? I'm no stranger to physical pain, but the pain that the whole body agony that I had from carrying this heavy pack up and down that mountain was unlike anything I've ever experienced. According to Backpacker Magazine, according to Backpacker Magazine, you really ought to start preparing for a long-distance trip up to 9 months before your trip. And one professional backpacker actually recommends that you walk barefoot in sand to prepare your feet for the amount of walking that you'll be doing. These are great suggestions. I will probably try doing them, but I'm also gonna just try hiking before I go the next time I do a long-distance trip. Overall, the trip went so well, and I'm so glad that I got the chance to do such a great adventure. The biggest thing that I think I learned from this is how to pack appropriately for what I personally need. My food choices were great, I just brought way too much of it. I don't need a bag of batteries, and I don't need a lantern, and I don't need a 4-person first aid kit. But my gear was great, and it worked out wonderfully, and I didn't actually want for anything except for a lighter bag. So my suggestion is this: if you are planning any kind of big adventure, for sure do the research leading up to it, but know that oftentimes the best way to learn what is going to work the best for you is to just get out there and do it. Thank you, Madam Chief.